Hello everyone, I am Dr. Manish Kumar Asthana going to take this lecture on cognitive ergonomics. Today's lecture is on to introduce you to cognitive ergonomics. Before I begin with, I give you a course outline. Week 1, we will be talking about introduction to cognitive ergonomics, human cognitive abilities and skill. Week 2, human computer interaction, usability. Week 3, we will talk about human error theory, followed by cognitive safety and risk management. In this 4-week course structure, you will be learning about the cognitive ergonomics, the relevance and importance of cognitive ergonomics in day-to-day life. Today, what we are going to talk about is cognitive revolution. Cognitive revolution is started in the year of 1950, soon after World War II. During the World War II, what we researchers, scientists, engineers observed is that increase in technological advancement, lot of heavy machineries were being built, and the human beings were incapable to handle such machines. Lot of human errors, lot of human failures were happening. It has been noticed that humans were facing a lot of challenges, not because they lacked necessary skills and abilities. However, the machine, the system has not been designed according to their physical stature. Over the period of time, the field of ergonomics has evolved, and it has come to our understanding that a lot of different multidisciplinary approach has been taken up forward to understand the human need and to provide the support in this domain. Three important things which has occurred in this cognitive revolution is that advancement in engineering, computer science, language. Secondly, challenges from the World War II, where the people were facing a lot of challenges to handle the machinery. As you can see in the graphic on your right hand side, the man handling a tank. He has to localize, he has to navigate, he has to target his enemy. But the space has been so compact that his physical space is so limited that he faces a lot of restrained behavior is there. This restrained behavior for a period of time, over a period of time, builds stress in the body. And this physical stress ultimately affects the cognitive stress. What do we mean with cognitive stress is that his attentional demand will increase, memory demand will increase, perceptual demand will increase. So physical stress ultimately start influencing his cognitive demands. Not only in this right hand cartoon, but you can also see in your left hand cartoon, the picture is from a cockpit. What do we see in the cockpit is that a lot of control buttons and panels are there. What people observed during World War II is that a lot of human errors, a lot of plane crashes were happening. They were not able to understand why this plane crash is happening and with the pilots. Not only people were losing the human lives, but also $1 billion machines were being compromised at each and every time when pilot is taking off or landing. Very soon they realized that there is a problem in the display. What is the problem in the display? As you can see on your screen, there are two buttons simultaneously related to placed closely to each other. One button, which is on left hand side, is the flying gear. Another button, which is a little bottom on your right hand side, is the landing gear, highlighted in red. So every time when a pilot has to take off the plane from the ground, he has to take the flying gear. When he has to put the plane down on the ground, then he has to press the landing gears. But the span of time when he has to make such decision is very less. Under normal circumstances, people can make such decision easily. But at the time of stress, at the time of war, it is very challenging. In few seconds, you have to land, you have to refuel, and then again you have to be in the sky to fight your enemy plane. And then in few seconds, you have to land your plane, you have to come down again and find a shelter. While making such decision, pilots were making a lot of human errors. As mixing up the gears, the crashes were happening more often. So the designers, the engineers realized that there is a need to change the display. And then they changed the display and the accident rate came down to minimal level. However, these are the two simple case studies which I showed you. There are several such case studies which are present in our day-to-day life. From the time we prepare our coffee to the time we are standing in a traffic light, to the time when we are taking a lift to reach our office, and to the time when we are driving back home. At several places, we are using our cognition, and the efficiency, performance is at stake. And this is what is more relevant in the domain of cognitive ergonomics. The demand of cognition and how the efficiency, performance, and safety is dependent on our cognitive skills and abilities. As I was telling you earlier, that the demand of cognition day-to-day life is very high. So as you can see in this cartoon, when a teacher has to cross the road along with students, the driver waiting so that the people can cross the road, the traffic police is standing and observing that there should be a safe passage provided to the teacher along with the students, and the cars should take a halt, should take a stop at the red light. Each and every one is doing its own cognition at its own level. If any failure will happen, then the casualty is likely to happen. What are the cognitive skills and abilities is being involved here? If you see, recognition of traffic light, recognition of traffic police, recognition of red flag, which means that there should be stop. Recall what those signages mean. Reasoning, when I have to stop and when I have to proceed. Problem solving, how to solve this problem of crossing the road. During crossing the road, I have to take zebra crossing or I can cross at any place. Language, what does stop means? Language doesn't only involve the verbal communication but non-verbal communication also. And then the decision making. So stopping at signal when it is red and starting a car when the signal is turning into orange and orange turning into green. Such information we have observed and we have seen that in recent years people have started to use cognition at each and every level, and even they have tried to practice at each and every day to make it better and better. With such understanding, we understand one thing, that our lives is around cognition. Recognition, recall, reasoning, problem solving, decision making is present at each and every level. And cognition is a very complex in nature. Though for some people it is easier, but for some people it is very complex. Our objective is to understand the layers of complexity so that we can enhance the efficiency, performance, and safety. But before that, I think it is important for us to understand the origination of cognitive ergonomics. Cognitive ergonomics is comprised of two words, cognitive and ergonomics. It is very important for us to first understand the cognition. and or cognitive. The cognitive discipline came into existence in the year of 1956, soon after World War II, when people realized the importance and relevance of human beings. The machines should be designed as per the need of the worker. The system should be designed as per the need of the user. So the user can be of different gender and can be of different age. Over a period of time, we have understood the significance and relevance of user need. So, in the year approximately roughly 1956, when a group of scientists in MIT was sitting and having a discussion, then they realized that the discipline like psychology, which studies the human behavior, is not being capable enough to address and understand the phenomena like language, building, production, and understanding. Along with that, what is happening when people think of a word like apple and a word like shoe? Which part of the brain is responsible in the generation, in the production of these two letters? Which part of the brain is responsible to distinguish the visual representation of these two words, apple and shoe? Human behavior studies were being studied, studying the result of the behavior, but not basically what is happening inside the human mind, which is like a Pandora box. Hence, the researchers and scientists, they came together and understood that there is a need for a discipline which can understand, which can address the underlying neural mechanism for such behaviors, which can help us in understanding how do we do the distinction between the two stimuli, the two pictures, two objects, and our biasness towards it. Hence, the four disciplines came all together, like philosophy, language, anthropology, neuroscience, artificial intelligence, and psychology. This multidisciplinary field is known as cognitive science. So, this cognitive science help us in understanding the human cognition, providing perspective from different disciplines. With the help of cognitive science, we may be able to understand that how humans are making distinction between different type of materials and objects. Like as you can see on your screen, mechanical waste, chemical waste, and e-waste are different. How these different waste people identify. How do people make such distinction? And once these distinctions are being made, then what decision has to be taken up? There are several stages involved in this simple processes. So when the stimulus is there, we pay attention to what kind of waste is it, with the help of perception, visual perception, auditory perception, or any other type of sensory perception. Once our sense perception provides us this information, then we pay attention to which waste we have to pay attention to first, like the chemical waste, mechanical waste, or e-waste. So thought processes start, decision making has to be made, and accordingly we make a response towards this. Now this is a very simple, these stages are very simple. It seems we have oversimplified this process, but human mind, human cognition is more complex than this. It's very dynamic, it's very rapid, it's very fast. Every second we are making a decision, what to say, how to say, what not to say. Such decisions can be simplified under different contexts and can be very complex under different contexts. So there are multiple cognitive processes are happening at the same time. However, To some processes, we pay more attention than the others. It is important for us now to just do a set of revision what we have understood in the previous slide. Cognitive revolution was the laid the foundation towards the understanding of how cognition came into existence and why it is important because of the failure of human machinery system, lot of errors, lot of accidents. People understood that the perceptual processes might be a challenge. And then this cognitive revolution led to the foundation of cognitive science, which ultimately made an attempt to reveal the human cognition, which is complex in nature, into a simpler form, the stages of cognitive processes. Let me take you forward and explain it to you. What is cognitive ergonomics now? And what does it mean? As I explained earlier to you, what is cognitive science, a multidisciplinary discipline which is providing us an insight to explain us how the cognition starts and how cognitive processes work. Cognitive ergonomics is comprised of two words, cognitive and ergonomics. Cognitive word is coming from the word cognition, which means the mental processes of knowing, including the aspects of awareness, perception, reasoning, and judgment. How do people understand? How do people process information? The recollection of information. Imagine a situation when somebody asks you, what is the taste of a vanilla? What is the taste of an apple? In such way, the human cognition recollects information which we have stored it in our past. If you have experienced the taste of apple, it will be very easy for you to describe and explain. However, if you haven't experienced the taste of the apple, then it may be little difficult for you to explain. So this processes is the mental processes where different type of cognitive processes are involved. The ergonomics, on the other hand, is the study of work. The study of work, the laws of work. And the study of ergonomics pays more attention to these three major goals. One, it enhances the performance, increases the safety, and increases the user satisfaction. Performance and efficiency is a part of any cognitive processes. Based on performance and efficiency, we decide if a person is capable enough to solve a problem. Knowing the fact how he can enhance the safety, and also the processes should be satisfying. So when we combine these two terms together, cognitive and ergonomics together, we understand that it's a mental processes such as perception, memory, reasoning, and motor response as they affect the interaction among the human and other elements of a system. When we talk about a system here, we mean the machines. But it can also be seen as an environmental system, a social system. A system can be broadly seen a large body. But during this coursework, we will be trying to address the machines or either the computer system, and that is why in one segment we will be talking about the human-computer interaction. Okay, so cognitive ergonomics is concerned about the mental processes and how they affect the interaction, to study the interaction between the human and other elements. Okay. So we should be asking to ourselves this question: why should we study cognitive ergonomics? If ergonomics is talking about the performance, safety, user satisfaction, that much should be enough for us to understand the system itself and how the humans are interacting with the system. But the bigger question here is that what type of cognitive processes are involved? What type of cognitive processes are helping a person to enhance the performance and efficiency? What type of cognitive processes is helping a person to increase the safety? What type of cognitive processes is helping a person to increase user satisfaction? Parallelly, there are n number of cognitive processes happening. From task to task, these processes vary. From task to task, these cognitive processes contribute differently to enhance the performance, satisfaction, and the safety. So, the cognitive ergonomics, where the user interface design, modeling of the user's system, problem solving, learning, system design, especially the design of the automation system, is important. Who is handling the system? The humans. The humans are the users. The user can be naive, intermittent, or an expert. When the users are of different type, then the system cannot be one. The system should be modeled according to the user and its need. We also know that the user comes from different gender. The user comes from different age. Accordingly, we have to design a system which can support the need of the user. How a performance and efficiency can be enhanced? If the user faces a lot of challenges. Hence, the design of automation has to consider the type of user which is involved. Hence, cognitive ergonomics may help us in the reduction of negative situation. If these negative situations, unpleasant events will be avoided, then the performance will increase, the safety will increase. Along with that, user satisfaction will be there. Imagine a scenario: your grandmother is handling a mobile phone for the first time. Now, the mobile phone, when it came with the keypad. Now the keypads has been replaced with technology, the advanced technology, the Android smartphones. Your touchpad is there. You touch, and then in your palm you can handle everything. You can order any product, you can order food, you can book your tickets, which was not the case 20 years ago. With such advancement in technology, our users are still haven't moved to another level. They still face a lot of difficulty to handle. Mobile banking is another big nightmare for the elderlies. So these nightmares, how to overcome these nightmares? Have we designed the system as per the need of the elderlies? We have made the system more sophisticated, but we haven't understood really how well our users are using it. So they start we have started providing them with a manual, the help manual, which can help the user to handle the device. However, still the manual fails to provide any assistance to these elderlies. But can we design a system in such a way that the system itself provides an aid to the user? To have such design, we have to understand how the cognitive processes work. What are the demands of cognition required? The demand of cognition in handling a car, the demand of cognition in handling a TV control remote, or the demand of cognition in handling a mobile phone are all different, and they are distinct from each other. They may be similar, but they are distinct from each other. So, cognitive ergonomics may help in these cases to reduce the negative situation, such as identification of the negative situation. What are the challenges? What kind of perceptual challenges the elderlies are facing? What kind of attentional challenges elderlies are facing? What kind of perceptual challenges a child is facing? What kind of challenges a grown up is facing while driving a car? Is he or she able to identify and see the navigation system? Is he or she able to identify the road signs? So, identification of negative situation can only be understood if we understand the human cognition well. Then, secondly, how well are we defining the problem and its consequences? The traditional remote system is having a lot of buttons on the key on the remote control. The elderly, are they able to understand what each and every button means? The real challenge is the selection of the button. To turn on and to turn off, it is easy because on a remote control that button is red in color. But rest of the buttons are more confusing. To provide more doesn't mean that it is good, but it actually to provide more features is involves complexity to a system. The handling of a system should be easy, and this is what these days modern technology is paying attention to. Some of those products which you see, which the designers are designing for the users, the type of users. So the inclusive design is of prime concern these days. But are we able to identify the problem? That is the second concern which cognitive ergonomics addresses. It addresses how well we understand the problem and its consequences. Thirdly, and the last point is to prescribe in avoiding or in reducing the impact. To prescribe, to provide a solution, one can do, what one can do to avoid such situations. We need to study and investigate such aspects in detail, and several human experiments and human studies are required in this area. More than this, I think what is more important in the discipline of cognitive ergonomics is how human mind really works under different social contexts and environmental situations, such as a worker working in a nuclear power plant, or a worker working in a farm, or a worker working in an operation theater. A nurse is very different from a nuclear scientist. A nuclear scientist is very different from a farmer. A farmer is very different from a firefighter. A firefighter is very different from a teacher. However, what they all share is the cognition, the way they perceive things, the way they pay attention to, the way they recollect the information, the way they integrate the information, and take a decision making. Taking a decision, it may be a very simple task, but it involves a lot of cognitive processes. So what did we learn today from today's lecture is how the cognitive revolution laid the foundation of human cognition in the discipline of ergonomics. The ergonomics with the laws of work, people pay attention to performance, user satisfaction, and safety. How human cognition, like perception, attention, decision making, memory, may contribute and help the user, the human beings, to perform better under a stressful condition, to enhance the safety, and bring user satisfaction. What we also learned is that different types of users, like elderly or young person, face different challenges. What we also learn that performing a simple task like crossing a road or driving a car involves human cognitive complexity. Cognitive ergonomics is going to address that how people working under different contextual systems can enhance their performance, safety measures, and user satisfaction by enriching their understanding about human cognition. It may also help us in redesigning, remodeling the human machine system. It may also help us to enhance the system for the genderless and ageless community. With this, I would like to say thank you and see you next week.